Hi, I'm Dave from boyinaband.com. I recently made a remix of a track by Subvibe called Burn, which was released today, and you can check that out here or at the link in the description. And in return, we've got a sweet tutorial from my home slices in Subvibe for my favourite sound from that track, a really thick bass in Reason. Take it away, guys.
Hey guys, this is Subvibe. I'm Joel.
I'm Tom. Thanks very much for Dave for his amazing remix of our track Burn on our free EP. It's called This Is Subvibe. It's downloadable free from our Facebook, so there'll be a link in the description. Please go check it out. Really mean the world to us. But we're paying it back. We decided we'd do a fun little guest tutorial for you guys on a powerful FM-based synth and Subtractor.
Yeah, this synth, we've called it Bassy Time because
we're unoriginal.
Yeah, it's basically just a nice wet alien kind of bass thing.
I've never heard an alien that sounds like this, but it's quite fun. It sounds like this, which is always fun.
Yeah, so we will show you how to make that today. We're using Reason 6, but you can do this from Reason 3 onwards, I think.
Reason 3? Yeah, Reason 3. Yeah. Reason 3 was right.
First of all, right click, create your combinator, and then open Subtractor, which is the only synth we'll be needing in this one today. And first thing you've got to do is right click, initialize patch.
We don't want a bass guitar sound, as fun as those can be. Right, first of all, we're going to want 2 sawtooths, so that's absolutely fine, but let's take the octave down to 2, because obviously it's a bass patch. You want it to be quite low. Not that a lot of dubstep artists are exactly going to agree with that, with the squealing thing that's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
But at the moment, this sounds a bit dull. So
just a little bit.
Just a bit. Let's turn on oscillator 2 first.
2.
And let's detune each one 8 either way. There we go. And we're starting to get a little bit thicker, but not a lot. So here's the magic ingredient. Up in the top right hand corner of the oscillator section, you'll find the FM knob. This stands for frequency modulation, and this is really what's going to give the grit to the sound.
Yeah, it's essentially the first oscillator being affected by the second oscillator, varying its pitch. But that's all complicated stuff. All you need to know is it sounds crazy.
That's right. So if we play the G, and then when we turn on the FM, you're going to hear exactly what it starts sounding like. Which gives it a really nice amount of grit.
You might want to turn the sustain up.
A little bit, yeah.
So what we do on most of our patches is sustain all the way up, release all the way down. So the key essentially acts like a gate, playing when you want it to, not playing when it isn't.
True that. Right, so if we take the FM all the way up to 40,
yeah,
that should give the requisite amount of grit that we need for a decent bass patch. 44 actually, let's go for that. You do have to be very specific when you're dealing with FM, because even the tiniest change gets really different results. So if you're going for a specific tone, you've really got to be careful. While we're here, just because obviously we're dubstep artists, we have to put an LFO on every filter frequency we come across. So let's take the rate up to 1/4 there and put the amount to full.
All the way up.
We're not subtle.
And on the filter frequency as normal. We normally use an upward ramp for this, but obviously depending on your taste, you can use whatever LFO setting you want.
It's always fun to modulate rate and waveform and all that kind of stuff, and that's going to sound like this. Which is starting to get there. Right, now that we've got the basic patch layout pretty much sorted, let's go and start gritting it up. So let's go and create a Scream 4 distortion unit.
Create Scream.
There we go. Now, because we made this so very long ago, there's going to be a lot of times when it's just the preset is almost right. Because, let's be honest, we were lazy when we didn't know what we were doing.
Just a bit. So this is the Easy Fuzz preset. It's what comes up first in the screen, but you can find it in the browser, if not, quite quickly. But the only thing we've done here is turn the damage from its initial setting all the way up to 102.
That's the one. I think parameters stay the same and stuff. And body, we're going to take to type E. Basically, the type on the body is mimicking all these different cabinets on these famous distortion sounds. E just gives us really nice, thick, warm body tone to it, which really is what we wanted for this sound. Right, that's the Scream 4 done, or at least the first one. Let's move on to the magic ingredient of the sound.
The most important effect on this is probably this unison device. Normally, if you overuse it, it can sound a bit weak, and it is something to be wary of. But on this sound in particular, it seems to work.
Yeah, so it does. So if we take down the dry wet and just play the sound at the moment. Got quite a lot of grit, but it still sounds quite, I don't know, lifeless. It hasn't got much character to it.
You can hear as we turn up this dry wet, you start getting that weird underwater alien sound.
It's always aliens with you. Beautiful. That's the magic ingredient.
But as you can hear there, as we turn the dry wet up, we lose a bit of the power of the sound.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll address that later.
That is what this next couple of tweaks are for. But first of all, let's give it a nice little tail, because at the moment it's kind of a bit dead. You can do this with the release on the Subtractor, but it sounds a little bit off. So what we tend to use is the reverb. There we go, the old R7000. And again, because we were lazy when we made this, we're going to stick with the warm plate preset. It's a very nice sound.
The only thing you need to do is turn the high EQ down a little bit so it's not too prevalent. And then, because it's an insert effect, take the dry wet all the way down to 2.
That's the tiniest amount of reverb you can possibly apply.
It just adds a little bit of a tail to the sound.
There we go. So it's not quite so stop-start. It fits in a mix a lot better. Now let's start addressing that power issue. So let's add another distortion unit. But this time it's going to be a lot more subtle. It's going to be less about grit, more about power and tone. Once again, we're going to stick with the Easy Fuzz because, oh dear, we really were a fan of this preset, weren't we?
Damage up to 90.
Yeah, 90 seems about right.
Push it a little bit, and then you're going to take your type here to tape distortion. Which is more of a compressor than a distortion.
Acting as a tape compressor, which is really, really squashes it and makes it a lot more powerful. I think the rest of the settings are okay on that one, aren't they?
Yep. Yeah, parameters the same, and the resonance, body type B.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can adjust all these to taste for whatever you seem like, but this is how we made it. So then I think probably a little bit of EQ will do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously dependent on your track, you have to EQ it differently, but we like to start off with cutting the lows to leave room for the sub, because sub's quite important, or very important.
Very important in dubstep, otherwise when it drops you're just going to have a very confused looking audience.
But yeah, you need to make room for your kick drum in bass sounds, because otherwise they get in each other's way and start fighting. So you take our parameter down to about 180.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Gain maybe 4 or 5 dB cut, and then just widen the Q a little bit to about 4.
Okay, that's generally where we EQ our kick drums to get the kind of click and nice punch out of them. But obviously it will be different depending on your tunes, so adjust that to taste.
Yeah. And then we also just turn the high shelf up a little bit to give it a bit of sparkle, make it sound less muddy.
There we go. And obviously on to, coordinate with that, we're going to add a filter as well.
Just the last little touch.
Really helps bring out that sparkle that we just added there with the EQ.
It has an ECF filter, which is almost obsolete in Reason 6, but we still like using it for the retro effect. Turn the frequency all the way up so you're letting through everything. Mm-hmm. But then just to add that nice high-end sheen, turn the resonance up to 36.
That's the one.
And that just means at the top frequencies it's going to be boosting those a little bit.
There we go, and it's going to sound a little bit like this. There we go.
That's the sound. That's Bassy time.
Obviously, you can do a lot of fun things. For example, if you muck about with the phase types and stuff, you can get really, really weird high-pitched tones out of it. You can resample it. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's the basic patch in essence. Hope you have fun with it, guys.
Just experiment and see what you can come up with.
Exactly. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for Dave for letting us on his channel. Make sure to come check out our Facebook. It's facebook.com/subvibeofficial to download your free EP. And yeah, have a good one.
Love that sound, really wide spanning and thick, kind of like the Catholic Church, except this bass doesn't protect paedophiles from the law. So yeah, check out my remix over on Subvibe's channel here. Be sure to listen to their other tracks as well, some great stuff. The original Burn is a killer track, and click here for a completely random video. Cheers for watching and have a nice day!